What's going on, everybody? This is the Logic Vault. I found something really weird. It just came across my feed just now while I was cruising through YouTube. But as you can see there in the top left hand side, it says Batman Contingency Plan against Michael Myers. And since we're right around to Halloween, I figured that we would watch this and see how Batman would defeat Michael Myers. Well, let's give it a couple guesses here before we even get into this. Okay, so we could that way there we could see what it might be and what it wouldn't be. Um, Personally, I'm gonna go with like acid. I think acid would probably be a good one. Like heavy acid. Really dissolve him completely. Um, Dismemberment of the limbs. Um, a steel box. Under several hundreds of feet of concrete. Because if I'm not mistaken, Michael Myers is immortal, or so, or per se. So, or just imprisoned somewhere, or an internal sleep. But I don't think sleep stuff works. No, it does. I think it does. Well, let's get in. Let's see what Batman has to say about this. Because it looked very animated. It looked really cool. This looks super animated.
He's headed straight for the trap. Time to move.
This is weird looking.
Batman's contingency plan.
There are things that even science can't comprehend. I've faced gods, demons, and creatures that defy physics, but this being is different. Michael Myers, evil in its purest and most silent form. He doesn't speak, doesn't react, doesn't feel. And maybe that's the true terror. The absolute void behind the mask. I've studied every one of his appearances, every movement. He walks as if time has no effect on his body. No
That's
racing
weird.
heartbeat, no adrenaline rush. It's like he's a walking corpse, sustained only by a force that doesn't belong to this world. I recovered biological fragments left at the crime scenes. His blood. It doesn't behave like human blood. The cells don't die. They regenerate, even outside the body. No toxin, no known biological agent reacts to them. It's something that transcends biology and maybe touches the supernatural. With every analysis, I noticed a constant. The evil in him isn't symbolic. It's organic, running through his veins like a virus. A virus that erases any trace of humanity and
That's
replaces it
creepy.
with pure killer instinct. If he's a contagion,
I do like these
Then
little
he
AI
needs to be
pop-ups.
treated
These are
like
kinda
one.
Cool.
and to contain something like that, I'd have to go beyond science. I'd
Ooh.
need to understand evil as energy and learn to break it at the root. I realized that Michael Myers isn't a physical anomaly. He's a manifestation, a channel where something older and darker projects itself into the physical world. If I wanted to defeat him, facing him head on wouldn't be enough. I'd have to exercise him in a scientific way.
This
I
is
started by
wicked.
analyzing the electromagnetic energy generated in Haddonfield on the days of the attacks. There are spikes, fluctuation
cool.
patterns, something that resembles paranormal interference. This energy seems to react to his presence, as if the environment itself warps to keep him alive. So I developed the Morphic Frequency Resonator, a device capable of identifying and isolating energetic vibrations associated.
You know who would whoop the shit out of Michael Myers? Supernatural. Dean and Sam. They would whoop the shit out of Michael Myers.
With pure evil. Everything vibrates. Even hatred has a signature. If I can pinpoint the exact frequency that sustains Myers, I can shatter it and disconnect the entity controlling him. Technology alone, however, wouldn't be enough. Myers' essence operates on a level that borders the metaphysical. That's why I consulted the files from my time in Nanda Parbat and analyzed the grimoire I recovered. Its text spoke of rituals for nullifying the animic echo. I took the diagrams and translations to Zatanna. She confirmed the ritual doesn't destroy the entity, but breaks
like
its
that. This
connection
is
to the
cool.
host by generating an opposing spiritual resonance. The concept was mystical, but the principle was applicable. If evil has a frequency, I could engineer the anti-frequency. An exorcism, yes, but a scientific one.
So
To
it's a
stop something like
scientific
Michael Myers,
exorcism?
it's not enough to build a trap. You have to design a containment ecosystem, a space where every molecule works against the enemy. I called the project Operation Silver Veil. The first phase begins with creating a neutral zone, completely isolated from Earth's electromagnetic field. An underground lab shielded with lead and titanium plating, covered in laser-etched runes, sealing symbols translated from the grimoire, a blend of science and magic. Logic and superstition united for one purpose,
That's pretty
to
sick.
contain the impossible. At the center of this structure, I installed the morphic frequency
Dude, that's like having John Constantine and Batman as a duo, as a lethal.
resonator, the core. It emits inaudible sound waves that reverberate at the frequency opposite to the energy-sustaining Myers. The idea is simple. If he's fueled by a malignant vibration, then I'll make it collapse in on itself. And as always, there's a contingency for the contingency. If the resonator fails to fragment his essence,
Batman.
the final protocol would activate, a localized quantum field collapse, trapping him not in suspension, but in a 1-second time loop, forcing his consciousness to relive the same instant forever.
Oh, that's
A drastic solution, but necessary. Around the resonator, a ring of autonomous drones equipped with non-lethal weapons, thermal sensors, and anesthetic nanomist. The plan is to lure Myers to the center of the structure, let him believe he's hunting, when in reality he's being herded. No escape, no chance.
That is true.
Luring
You
Michael
can't do that
Myers
to
into the
Myers.
Silver Veil requires
not
more than technology.
exactly that
It
much of a
demands patience
genius.
and a clinical understanding of what drives him. He doesn't chase victims out of anger or pleasure. He pursues a pattern, an echo. So I created the perfect echo. I used the Black Oracle to compile every sound, scent, and shadow from Haddonfield. Then, I synthesized those memories in layers. Holographic projections that recreate facades, olfactory devices that release specific aromas, and directional speakers that play back familiar footsteps and whispers. The fake city isn't just visual, it's sensory. Every street is programmed to reinforce the illusion. But Michael isn't an ordinary animal. He tests reality with small rituals, locked doors, broken windows, the silence between clocks. For that, I inserted behavioral hooks, strategically placed familiar objects, a lamp that flickers in the exact pattern that preceded his previous attacks, a doll lying exactly where his oldest memories converge.
That's crazy.
He follows patterns. I use them as chains. Meanwhile, thief drones map his responses in real time. The Black Oracle calculates deviations and reconfigures the holographic city's route in seconds. If he hesitates, the replica shifts. New shadows emerge. Doors that were open before now close. Sounds that came from the right now come from the left.
See, this makes it
Confusion is the most powerful tool. A predator that
Batman's
doesn't
is
recognize its
fucking
territory becomes vulnerable.
crazy
And
lethal.
finally, the entry sequence. Corridors that subtly narrow, directing his march. Floors that vibrate lightly to sync his steps with the resonator's timings. Everything leads to one point, the core of the Silver Veil. No obvious traps, just the feeling of returning home. That feeling is the bait. And when he crosses the threshold, the world around him will start to crumble. When Michael Myers crosses the threshold of the Silver Veil, his world starts to unravel. The resonator's core activates its initial pulse, inaudible sound waves, vibrating at the inverse frequency to the energy sustaining him. It's subtle at first, almost imperceptible, a tremor in perception, a chill down the spine. He doesn't understand, but he feels something wrong. Meanwhile, the drones adjust the environment in real time. Corridors stretch and shorten slightly. Shadows multiply. Reflections appear where they shouldn't. The floor vibrates in calculated patterns to sync his march with the resonator's pulse. Every step he takes increases the instability of his own essence. Michael doesn't hesitate, but every action is predictable. He reacts instinctively to the environment's stimuli, following the patterns I've learned to anticipate. The confusion is amplified by holographic projections of multiple Myers, as if he's surrounded by echoes of himself.
That's
He
crazy.
attacks shadows, passes through illusory walls, but doesn't realize the real trap is invisible. His own energy is being drained and fragmented. The resonator works in layers. The first just distorts perception. The second starts creating microfissures in the energy keeping him alive. And the third sinks those fissures with the seals etched around the core. Each fissure
What
is a
the
vulnerable point, a fragment of his essence that can be isolated. At this moment, Myers is no longer just physical. He's an unstable projection of pure hatred, and I have control over the space he believes he dominates. He still walks, still attacks, but every attempt at resistance is calculated. Every movement an opportunity to deepen his containment. He's walking into his own nightmare, and I'm the architect of every shadow that imprisons him. With
that's
each wave from the resonator,
crazy.
the fissures in his essence become visible only to me in the Black Oracle's analysis. He still moves, still tries to strike, but the reality around him doesn't match his actions. Every act of violence he attempts falls out of sync, as if he's trapped between dimensions. It's at this moment that I activate the secondary seals.
I was just about to mention
Runes
that.
etched
was
around the
if he
core
gets
sync
trapped
with the
between
quantum
dimensions.
pulse, creating a partial containment field. Michael Myers is still physical, but his essence starts to dilute. He's reduced to fragments of consciousness that can no longer reassemble. To reinforce the effect, I disperse a mist made of monitoring nanoagents. They don't harm, but they alter his perception of space, heightening the confusion and limiting reflexes. Every move he makes, every misstep, is an opportunity to strengthen the net imprisoning the energy that sustains him. The goal
This is
isn't to kill
wicked.
him, or even physically harm him. It's to fragment what makes him invincible, making him vulnerable to definitive containment. When the fragmentation reaches its peak, Myers is ready to be transferred to quantum containment. It's not an ordinary cell, it's a structure that interacts directly with his essence's frequency, sealing each fragment in a state of perpetual suspension. Every seal, every energy field, every quantum pulse was calibrated to neutralize any attempt at reassembly. Here, science and mysticism meet. Ancient artifacts integrated into the structure convert residual hatred energy into a shielding field, ensuring no physical or spectral attack can penetrate. The silver veil collapses around him, and the drones seal the core, converting every remnant of movement into data that feeds the Black Oracle for constant monitoring. Michael Myers isn't destroyed. He's contained, sealed inside a prison that transcends time and space. Every fragment of his essence is now bound to the containment structure, unable to reassemble or escape. The question is no longer whether he can be stopped. It's whether anyone could comprehend what we've created to contain absolute evil.
This is wicked.
When it's all over, I stand alone before the quantum cell. Michael Myers is contained, but not defeated. His essence hasn't vanished. It's just been reorganized, divided, and sealed. The silence is absolute, but it carries the weight of all the violence he's spread. There's no relief, no satisfaction, just understanding. There are evils that exist beyond human comprehension, and to
Wonder if he
contain them, you
takes away
have to
the
go
anger
beyond
if it
what we
turns
call
him
reality.
normal,
As I
or
watch
takes
the
maybe
data on the
away
Black
part
Oracle,
of his
I realize this isn't the end.
part of who he is.
Every fragment of Myers is a
Like a
reminder that
soulless
evil
Sam or a
persists in
soulless Dean.
forms we can't measure. Technology was essential, scientific analysis indispensable, but it was patience, strategy, and understanding what he represents that ensured he was contained. I've learned that we can't underestimate something that transcends logic,
Hell
something
no.
that defies even what we consider impossible. Every trap, every calculation, every mystic seal was
wild.
designed with precision to maintain order where none seemed possible. And yet, there's an unease, a pulse of energy indicating he exists somewhere, in some fragment, waiting. Maybe there's no perfect way to eradicate absolute evil, but there is a way to face it and contain it. That's the line separating those who merely survive from those who can protect the innocent. Michael Myers is contained, but the work never ends. There's always vigilance, always preparation. Because evil doesn't rest, and neither can I. I archived the report. Status: incomplete. Containment: active. Vigilance: permanent.
Hey, yo,
Incomplete.
hold on. What was that last
Containment.
part? What happens when you cage a force of, I'm
Active.
going to assume evil.
Vigilance: permanent. Michael Myers is a force that defies understanding, and any simplistic approach would be useless. What I've done here isn't just capture him, it's create a structure where he can no longer interfere with the world of the living. The question the Black Oracle can't answer remains: what happens when you imprison a force of nature? We don't destroy it, we just take it out of sight, and I need to know what else to prepare for.
Oh, shit. Fuck, dude. Out of sight, out of mind. That's wild. I liked that. That was good. That was a good video, dude. That was creepy, but a good video. To know that, like, the contingency was to find the resonating frequency of his anger and rage, of the evil that he has, because he's basically immortal. Because, I mean, that's what I got from it, was that he's immortal and that he just can't exactly be killed. And so you got to find ways around that, you know? That's like the Flash. What was it? Like the contingency for the Flash was just to keep him running. He's like a battery. Eventually, the battery's just going to die out. That's wicked. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a little Halloween video from the Logic Vault from yours truly about Batman and his contingency plan. with Michael Myers. So thank you guys all for tuning in. And if you guys like that, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and share. And this is the Logic Vault. We do it the Logic way or with no logic at all. And in this case, it was the Logic way, which was fucking wicked. I'll see you guys in the next one.